قال ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Hello everybody, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Ramadan with Jireed. Today is the 4th of Ramadan and hope your Ramadan is going healthy, wealthy and wise. Today we'll be starting with a new surah and that is Surah Sad. And Surah Sad is the 38th surah of the Qur'an. It is in Juz 23, Mamaliya, and it is having 88 ayahs, and it is one of the surahs that has a sajdah ayat in it, in which it is necessary that a sajdah is required in if you while praying you recite it, and then at that time while reciting, once that verse comes, you have to do sajdah. So that's one of those surahs, one of those few surahs in which there is a sajdah. It comes on verse number 24. So Surah Saad, it is a Makki surah and it is 88 ayat, and its pattern, it is only not centered around Tawheed al-Rububiyyah like most surahs in this juz. The thing is that this also tells about stories of the prophets and gives it as examples to people, just like in Surah Safat. So Surah Safat and Surah Saad, they both have this same example, and Surah Yasin even, about the examples of the stories of the prophets. So without any further ado, let's start this surah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Sad wal Qur'ani dhikr. Sad and the Qur'an, which is full of reminding and signs and admonitions. Now this is one of the 3 surahs in the Quran which huruf-e-muqatta'at, one lettered huruf-e-muqatta'at comes. There are different huruf-e-muqatta'at, like there are alif lam mim, alif lam ra, and kaf ha ya ain sin sad. Now they are different of these huruf-e-muqatta'at, but this one is one of them which has one letter in it. Like for example, there are 3 surahs. First one is the 68th surah, Surah Qalam. It has the word Noon. Then after that there is Surah Qaf, which is the 50th surah. It has the word Qaf. And over here we have Surah Saad, which is the 38th surah, which has the word Saad. So these are the 3. Now after this, the second verse. But those who disbelieve, they are in false pride and they are in an opposition. They just want to oppose. They are just arrogant. Then after that, the third verse. How many people have we destroyed from before, and they tried to escape but there was no room for them. Now the fourth verse. And those people wonder that how a warner has come from among themselves. Basically they wonder about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they say that this person is a liar, he is a magician and a poet, and he has made all this. There were even some theories that he has taken a slave from Syria or Abyssinia, and he learns stories and poetry from him every day, and then he recites the verses out to the crowd. That was another theory. Now the 5th verse. أَجَعَلَ الْآلِهَةَ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدًا إِنَّ هَذَا لَشَيْءٌ عُجَابٌ. Where it is said that has he made all of these gods into just one god? Indeed, this is a curious thing. That is what the Packers used to say, that this idols, they are a way of connection to the biggest god. Now after this, the 6th. وَانْطَلَقَ الْمَلَأُ مِنْهُمْ أَنِ امْشُوا وَاصْبِرُوا عَلَى آلِهَتِكُمْ إِنَّ هَذَا لَشَيْءٌ يُرَادٌ. And then the leaders among them went about, they used to walk and they used to say, and now that walk, it was not just any walk, it was a walk of pride, it was a walk of arrogance. And then they used to say that remain to your gods and be constant. Now after this, the 7th verse. مَا سَمِعْنَا بِهَذَا فِي الْمِلَّةِ الْآخِرَةِ إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا اخْتِلَاقٌ. We have not heard of these things from the previous generations. Indeed, this is nothing but an invention. Now after this, actually over here it is said that from the later generations, actually not from the previous generations. They say that now in this generation nobody believes of this, and we all believe we will be turned into the dust. After this, the 8th verse. أَأُنْزِلَ عَلَيْهِ الذِّكْرُ مِنْ بَيْنِنَا بَلْ هُمْ فِي شَكٍّ مِنْ ذِكْرِي بَلْ لَمَّا يَذُوقُوا عَذَابِ. Has there been any reminder sent down to him alone from among us? No, but they are in doubt about this Quran. They have not tasted the punishment. Basically they were saying that they of course did not believe that there was a revelation. They used to believe he had forged these ayat, or he had taken this from somebody and he is reciting every one of this. Now the 9th one. أَمِ عِنْدَهُمْ خَزَائِنُ رَحْمَةِ رَبِّكَ الْعَزِيزِ الْوَهَّابِ. Indeed, do they have the treasures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty and the one who bestows everything? And then after that, am lahum mulku samawati wal ardi wa ma bainahuma falyartaqu fil asbab. Then it was said, do they have the kingdom of the heavens and the earth? If they have, then let them climb up the heavens. Of course, the heavens is very far away, and the solar system, it is so vast. So this is what is said, that if they have this full knowledge, then let them go, just like it's in Surah Rahman. Now after this, jundum ma hunalika mahzumum min al ahzab. Over here it is said, they will be also defeated like those confederates who were from before. And now who are those confederates? كذبت قبلهم قوم نوح وعاد وفرعون ذو الأوتاد. And just like these, the confederates were those people who did not listen to the messengers before them, like Fir'aun, Ad, and the man of stakes, which is Fir'aun. Basically the stakes were pegs, and those pegs in which he used to punish people and gruesomely impale them. Basically, yeah, we know that he used to, plunge the sticks through the people. Then he used to punish people by making them build pyramids. After this, the 13th verse, this refers to two meanings. In the 13th verse, وَثَمُودُ وَقَوْمُ لُوطٍ وَأَصْحَابُ الْأَيْكَةِ أُولَٰئِكَ الْأَحْزَابِ. And Samud and the people of Lut, which were from the town of Sodom in Palestine. And then after that, the dwellers of the wood, those were the confederates. After this, the 14th verse, in kullun illa kadzaba rusula fa haqqa iqab. And indeed they belied all the messengers, so then the punishment was justified upon them. وَمَا يَنْظُرُ هَؤُلَاءِ إِلَّا صَيْحَةً وَاحِدَةً مَا لَهَا مِنْ فَوَاقٍ. And they will not see it except one continuous shout, and there will be nobody who will save them. Then after that, وَقَالُوا رَبَّنَا عَجِّلْ لَنَا قِطَّنَا قَبْلَ يَوْمِ الْحِسَابِ. And then they will say, that quicken to us or records before the day of the reckoning. Basically, they were taunting that give us this day of Qiyamah if you think that if you are truthful. So they used to taunt. Now the reply that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to give to the disbelievers is, indeed it will come, stay patient, and on that day you will be reckoned. Then after that, isbir ala ma yaquluna waskur abadana Daud zal aidi innahu awwab. It said that be patient upon them and remember our slave Daud alayhi salam, when he was the one of power. Indeed, he was the most returning in matters, and he was the most in repentance towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Basically, he was the most just, and he was the most repenting, and the one who used to ask forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then after that, 18th verse, inna sakharna al-jibala ma'ahu yusabbihna bil ashi wal ishraq. Indeed, we subjected the mountains to him, and they used to glorify with him, exalt with him in the morning and in the evening. Basically, the meaning of that was Daud alayhi salam, he was blessed with a very beautiful voice, and all the mountains and the birds, they started whenever he praised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all the birds and the mountains, they used to start singing and chanting with him. Now after this, the 19th verse, وَطَيْرَ مَحْشُورَةً كُلُّ لَهُ أَوَّابٍ. And the birds, they also assembled with him, and they also glorified Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَشَدَدْنَا مُلْكَهُ وَآتَيْنَاهُ الْحِكْمَةَ وَفَصْلَ الْخِطَابِ. It is that we also give him a great kingdom, and we also give him a great power of differentiating between the right and wrong, basically being just and judging between matters, and having a great judgment in speech and decision. Now after this, the 21st verse. Now this is pertaining to a specific story about Daud alayhi salam, which we're going to find out in the 4-5 verses after this. وَهَلْ أَتَاكَ نَبَأُ الْخَصْمِ إِذْ تَسَوَّرُوا الْمِحْرَابِ. And do you know about the story of those people, those litigants who climbed over the wall? Basically, Daud alayhi salam was in that room where he was praying alone, where he used to pray, the mihrab, and over there was nobody else. Alright, so those people, they climbed the wall and they came in, those two people. And when Daud alayhi salam saw them, he was very frightened. إِذْ دَخَلُوا عَلَى دَاوُودَ فَفَزِعَ مِنْهُمْ قَالُوا لَا تَخَفْ. When Daud alayhi salam saw them, he was frightened, but then they said, do not be frightened. After this, they told their story. خصمان بغى بعضنا على بعض فاحكم بيننا بالحق ولا تشتت واهدنا إلى السواء الصراط. We are two people. Now, one of them has wronged the other, so do give us the justice and guide us to the right path. Now after this, and now they were saying that give us this justice right now, not anywhere else. We want this solved at this moment. Now after this, إن هذا أخي له 99 نعجة ولي نعجة واحدة فقال أكفلنيها وعزني في الخطاب. Now after this, it is said, one person says, indeed my brother Of course, it was like basically in religion. So yeah, they were like two people, not really brothers by blood, but he was saying brother in religion. Indeed, this person, he has 99 ewes. Now ewes are like they are female sheeps. After this person has 99 ewes, and I had only one ewe, and he said to me that hand this ewe over to me, and he overpowered me and oppressed me in speech. Then after that, Dawood alayhi salam, he said, قال لقد ظلمك بسؤال نعجتك إلى نعاجي. Then after that, Dawood alayhi salam said that indeed he has wronged you in demanding that one ewe over all his ewes. وإن كثيرا من الخلطاء لا يبغي بعضهم على بعض إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وقليل معهم. And it is said, indeed, people may oppress one another except for those people who do the righteous deeds, and they are very few. And then after that, it dawned on Dawood alayhi salam, وَظَنَّ دَاوُودُ أَنَّمَا فَتَنَّاهُ فَاسْتَغْفَرَ رَبَّهُ وَخَرَّ رَاكِعًا وَأَنَابَ. Over here, then Dawood alayhi salam realized that this was a trial, and indeed those people who were sent were angels, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent them as a trial. And then Dawood alayhi salam, he turned to forgiveness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now there was something over here. It is pointed out that there was something wrong in Dawood alayhi salam's heart, which he tried to do, and then this trial was a way of informing him about that, and then he repented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now these are the ways in which the prophets, they are also saved from the different things that they do sometimes, because the prophets, they were also humans, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he had a special way of protection for protecting them from wrongdoings. Now after this, the 25th verse, فَغَفَرْنَا لَهُ ذَلِكَ وَإِنَّ لَهُ عِنْدَنَا لَزُلْفَى وَحُسْنَ مَآبٍ. And indeed we forgave him for that, and indeed to him is a near access for us, that is basically a close way to us and a good place in the end, that is basically paradise. Now after this, the 26th verse, Ya Dawood inna ja'alnaka khalifatan fil ardi fahkum bayna an-nasi bil haqqi wa la tattabi'il hawa fayudillaka an sabilillah. O Dawood, indeed we have placed you as a ruler in earth, and do not follow the desires, indeed that will mislead you from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then after that, the 26th verse continuing, Inna alladhina yadilluna an sabilillahi lahum azabun shadidun bima nasu yawm al-hisab. Indeed, those people who are astray from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will get a very bad punishment because they forgot about the day of judgment. Now after this, the 27th verse, وما خلقنا السماء والأرض وما بينهما باطلا ذلك ظن الذين كفروا وفويل للذين كفروا من النار. Then it is said, we have not created the heavens and the earth except without purpose. That is basically that everything has been created for a purpose. We have a purpose in life, and that is to succeed in this hayat dunya, and so we can go to Jannah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from those who are successful not only in this dunya but also in the akhirah. Now after this, the 28th verse, أَمْ نَجْعَلُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ كَالْمُفْسِدِينَ فِي الْأَرْضِ أَمْ نَجْعَلُ الْمُتَّقِينَ كَالْفُجَّارِ. Shall we treat those who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, shall we treat those people just like those who are the mufsidun, who are the ones who commit mischievous acts in the earth? That is basically, a thing that the disbelievers used to say, that the believers and the disbelievers, they're equal. And that is the thing which has been replied in Surah Zumar 2. Do check it out. And over here in Surah Sad, it is being replied. Now after this, the 29th verse, Kitabun anzalnahu ilayka mubarakan liyadabbaru ayatihi waliyatazakkara ulul albab. This is a book that we have sent down to you, full of science, and this is full of remembrance for those people who remember. Basically, the Qur'an, it has many examples of science that people need to know. Like for example, we learnt about the story of Dawood alayhi salam, we learnt about the prophets, we learnt about different things, like for example the life cycle of plants, and they all are different signs in them, and they are all different abominations that we should learn about, that really tells us about the purpose of life. Now after this, the 30th verse, وَوَهَبْنَا لِدَاوُدَ سُلَيْمَانَ نِعْمَ الْعَبْدُ إِنَّهُ أَوَّابٌ. Now this was the story of Dawood alayhi salam. Now after this comes the story of Sulaiman alayhi salam. After this, the story of Ayyub alayhi salam will come. Now, وَوَهَبْنَا لِدَاوُدَ سُلَيْمَانَ نِعْمَ الْعَبْدُ إِنَّهُ أَوَّابٌ. Indeed, we gifted to Dawood Sulaiman. We gave him as a son Sulaiman. Indeed, he was also excellent as a slave to us. Indeed, he was also excellent as a servant to us. He was the most oft returning in repentance. Basically, he repented a lot too. After this, the 31st verse. Now, this is another story about Sulaiman alayhi salam, and this story is urida alayhi bil ashiyyi safinatul jiyad. When it was displayed to him in the afternoon, the horses which he was taking for war. Basically, for his kingdom, he saw horses, and they were of very high breed. They were of a very high class, and he was examining them. It was the afternoon time. But then after that, he got very caught up in, seeing the horses, and the time of the Asr prayer, it went. And then after that, he said, فَقَالَ إِنِّي أَحْبَبْتُ حُبَّ الْخَيْرِ عَنْ ذِكْرِ رَبِّي حَتَّى تَوَارَتْ بِالْحِجَابِ. He said that indeed I have taken the worldly life instead of the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until the sun hid in the veil, basically until the time of the night. رُدُّوهَا عَلَيْهِ فَتَفِكَ مَسْحًا بِالسُّوقِ وَالْأَعْنَاقِ. Then he said that return them to me, and then he started smiting the horses in the neck and in the legs. Basically, there are different meanings of what he did after that. Some people say he started smiting them, cutting them with the sword. Some people said he started stroking them. So there are different meanings of this too. After this, now this verse, it has a very long story behind it. وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّا سُلَيْمَانَ وَأَلْقَيْنَا عَلَى كُرْسِيِّهِ جَسَدًا ثُمَّ أَنَابَ. And indeed we did put a trial to Sulaiman alayhi salam, and we placed upon his throne a body. And then he returned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in repentance. Now, this has been taken from, this has been a verse that has a lot of meanings in it. There have been a lot of interpretations about what jasad means. Now, jasad, it means a body. But what was that body? Was it a jinn? Was it some kind of spirit? Was it a dead body? Now, there are a lot of things. Some interpretations take it from the Jewish riwayat. Some people say in that riwayat that Sulaiman alayhi salam's ring was stolen, in which he was able to control the jinns and he was able to control the wind, and then a jinn took it and he assumed his form and he sat on the throne, and that is basically the meaning of jasad. Then after that, somehow the ring got lost and he found it in the fish. That is one way. But of course this is false, because to be honest, we have read that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the control of the wind to Sulaiman alayhi salam, and he did not give it in a ring. He just gave him the control. So that's the thing. There was no ring that was able to give him the control. Like, if you take this ring will be given to somebody else and he gets the control. It was not that. It was only him who had the special power. That's the thing. So after this, that's of course very long. This has a lot of interpretations. So do consult the tafsir books, because it will take too much time interpreting. After this, the 35th verse. قَالَ رَبِّ اغْفِرْ لِي وَهَبْ لِي مُلْكًا لَا يَنْبَغِي لِأَحَدٍ مِّن بَعْدِي إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْوَهَّابُ. Then he said, "O my Lord, forgive me and give me a kingdom which nobody will have after me, nor nobody has had before me." Now, Sulaiman alayhi salam's kingdom was pretty magnificent. But after this dua, because he repented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he was very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He used to exalt Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala day and night. And when this happened, whatever this trial was, he asked to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then gave him the control of the wind and the control of the jinns. And then after that, everything came. فَسَخَّرْنَا لَهُ الرِّيحَ تَجْرِي بِأَمْرِهِ رُخَاءً حَيْثُ أَصَابَ. Then we gave him the control of the wind. It went on his control wherever he wanted. It could be a soft, gentle breeze, and it could be a long gust of wind. It could be anything what you want. And then وَالشَّيَاطِينَ كُلَّ بَنَّاءٍ وَغَوَّاصٍ. And then he had all the devils, all the shaitan, and all the jinns. They were all builders and divers. And afterwards, they also used to do the cooking too. It's said in Surah Saad. We're also going to do this in this Ramadan. So it's also said over there that they also used to do the cooking, and they used to have the pots, they used to do the cleaning. And then after that, وَآخَرِينَ مُقَرَّرِينَ فِي الْأَصْفَادِ. And others who were bound in, like, it's fetters. Basically, fetters are like, the things like, you can say, handcuffs and something like that. After that, the 39th verse, هَذَا أَتَاعُنَا فَمْنُنْ أَوْ أَمْسِكْ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Sulaiman alayhi salam, "This is our gift, spend it, or you can withhold it. It is gonna be no account on you." After that, the 40th, وَإِنَّ لَهُ عِنْدَنَا لَزُلْفَى وَحُسْنَ مَآبٍ. And indeed he had a near access to us, and indeed he has a great final return, which is the paradise. So this is all for today. After this, the story of Ayyub alayhi salam is going to start. Inshallah, we're going to do it tomorrow. I hope everybody has had a great Ramadan so far. I hope everybody will have a great Ramadan after this. And we all have to get the rahmas and barakas. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us one of those people who are going to be in the Jannatul Firdaus. Jazakallahu khairan wa ahsanallahu alaykum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.